Welcome to the Calder Farmstead.
Now the Ice Hawks back out to center in transition. Carlson with Quenneville 2-on-1. Right with Calder Cup, Quenneville scores!
Here's a chance for Barrett. He scores! Off the face-off! Up it's Eminger. Pulled back to Werenski. Has it. Shoots one. Bounces off a man. 5 seconds left. Werenski. Another jam on the shot. Turning and firing. They go! Scores! They score! Now they catch each other. They both go right over the top. Matching rights to one another. McDermott gets the helmet off of Cassie.
And now, with 9 minutes gone in overtime, the Bears breaking out right side with Bear. Looks like cutting to the net. Bear will score!
And here are your hosts, Cece and Sean.
Hello and greetings from the Mile High city of Denver, Colorado.
And Belmar, New Jersey.
Oh. Welcome to the Calder Farmstead Podcast, episode number 98 for Monday, May 2nd, 2022. If you're hoping for a podcast featuring guidance on when to plant heat-loving veggies like tomatoes and peppers, we are not going to be much help. This is an American Hockey League podcast. My name is CC Hockley, the AHL editor of Full Press Hockey.
And I'm Sean O'Brien from Stats Trek and the AHL's only league-wide analytics guy.
He's kind of a big deal.
Nope. No.
And as always, we thank you for tuning in with us.
If you're new to hearing CC and I talk about hockey, we're going to preview some of the 21-22 Calder Cup Playoffs, especially the first round matchups here for you. We both watch a lot of AHL games and are going to talk about what we see when we watch the film, as well as use some advanced stats to help us break that down. If that's new to you, you may want to head over to our podcast feed or YouTube channel, wherever you're checking us out from. Scroll all the way to the bottom and find episode 0. It's a short primer on some of the stats we're going to be talking about, as well as how we view what's important on the ice. So if you're new to some of the newer hockey stats terms like PDO or the point shares model, or newer hockey terms like controlled zone entries, go check that out. So you better be able to pick up what we're putting down. I promise it's not that nerdy or technical. It's only 20 minutes. And let's be honest, you wasted 20 minutes reading up on Birds Aren't Real appearing on 60 Minutes. You'll never get that time back. So next time, why not spend a little more time with us talking hockey?
Yes, because the government killed off billions of birds and replaced them with drones. So don't forget, guys, birds aren't real.
Like, that has to be fake, right? Like, I mean, obviously birds are real, but like the people running this, like that can't, they're just trolling everyone, right? This isn't serious.
It was a response to some of the more absurd conspiracy theories that were out there. It is a satirical conspiracy theory.
That was what I thought. But sometimes, you're not sure if you clicked on an Onion article until Anyway.
Exactly. Well, here it is. We are done with our first full AHL regular season here on the Calder Farmstead. We covered the abbreviated 2021 season because it only occurred in 2021. So that's how we refer to it as. But now 21-22, we're done. The regular season is finished and the playoff picture has come into focus. It is now crystal clear. And so therefore, we're going to get started and we're going to preview the first round here. Best of three for the first 2 rounds. So that's going to be a little bit different than the usual best of 5 we were used to. But hey, after the pandemic season, I'm okay with playoff hockey taking a little bit different of a format, but yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's get started. We took a couple weeks off so we could prep for this, also prepare for our end of season awards episode. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming down the pike here shortly.
And that's going to be a banger. I have been excited about that award show for months now, and it's looking like it's going to be real great. So you want to check that one out.
Yes, definitely stay tuned for that. And and we're closing in on episode number 100. So we got a lot of fun stuff, a lot of celebratory episodes, the award show, episode 100. It's all coming down to the pike. And what better way to celebrate than with some AHL playoffs? And let's get started. Of course, in the Atlantic Division, we're going to talk about the number 3 seed Providence taking on the number 6 seed Bridgeport. Game 1, Bridgeport at Providence, Monday, May 2nd at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Game 2, Providence at Bridgeport, a little switcheroo there, Wednesday, May 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern. If necessary, Game 3 will take place, Bridgeport at Providence, Friday, May 6th, 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Season series, Sean, even split. 6 games apiece, 6 and 6. both teams are in their 12 games that they played against each other. Sean, let's talk about Providence first, how they got here. Take it away.
Well, how they got here. Providence season record, they were 36-36 with a .576 points percentage, because you get points for just getting to OT these days. Their last 10 games, 4-6, although I want to say that is a little bit not descriptive of the team, because man, did Boston call up a bunch of dudes at the end to give, the Patrice Bergerons of the world a rest. Their net power play rank, or their net power play was 15.1%, 23rd in the AHL for Providence. Their net penalty kill was 87.4%. That was good for 5th in the AHL over the course of the season. If Providence wins this series, I think we're going to see the same formula that they've been using to win for most of the season. Solid team defense, just enough offense, and if all that fails, Troy Grosnick stands on his head. Grosnick's been phenomenal this season for the Providence Bruins. To be fair, though, he also had one of the best defensive teams in front of him. I do think if Providence wins this series, it's going to be because of guys like Justin Brazeau and Edwards Traumax. Those are big physical forwards who can take the punishment that Bridgeport is looking to dole out and persevere. Both also have offensive tools that are useful. Both ran hot shooting this season. Brazeau at 18.5%. Traumax at 24.1%. Over the long term, those are both wildly unsustainable, but that isn't what we're talking about here. This is a best of 3 series. That is the opposite of long term. So I say roll on that PDO bender that both of them have been on. If Providence wins, though, it's going to have to find its power play again. Their power play took a nosedive in March and really has not recovered since. On March 1st, Providence's net power play percentage was 17.8%, which is not great, but it's not terrible. Since March 1st, it's 11.3%.
Thanks.
Now, as we mentioned, there are some roster move considerations there. Jack Studnicka and Jesper Frodin both missed 15 games in that span. But given how the playoffs are typically officiated, plus Bridgeport is the second best team in the AHL at power plays given up a game. They do not take they take penalties, but they usually don't give up a power play. They get matching minors, or it's a fight or something like that. But Providence is going to need to get their power play to count when it gets the chance if they're going to win this series. Cece, tell me about the Sound Tigers.
Yes, the AHL Bridgeport team. I will be glad to talk about them with you. So Bridgeport, how did they get here? As the days go by, water flowing under. Just kidding. Season record 31-41, .507 points percentage. Last 10 games, 4-6. Net power play was 13.7%. That was, quote, good for 27th in the AHL. Yikes. Net penalty kill, 83.7%, 17th in the AHL. Now, for the Sound Tigers to win, to humor Sean a little bit there, if they are to win this series, it's because they turned games into a grind fest. And they'll need to be the more physical team, flat out, and use their size advantage well and play some heavy hockey. And that's something playoff hockey tends to lend itself to. So I think Bridgeport has a lot going for them, which is nice. The other big aspect the Sound Tigers will need to go their way if they win, or if they want to win, is in transition. When Bridgeport has looked good, they've been able to execute breakouts under pressure and get controlled exits. It's pretty simple. Bridgeport being the underdog, being the 6th seed, coming into this, they got to put the bodies on. They got to be heavy hitters, and they really have to, execute those breakouts, like I said. And in transition, Sean, we talk about it quite a bit on this program. Transition is super important because a fair amount of goals get scored in transition, especially if you're on a breakaway there. So those are my 2 things to point out about Bridgeport when it comes to hopefully getting the W's and moving on to round number 2. And with that said, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so one thing we're going to talk about in all this series is what we think is going to be the X factor. What is going to be something that puts its thumb on the scale, whether that's a player or an aspect of the game. I think all of them are players in our preview here, but the X factor for this series is 100% Corey Schneider. Schneider has been huge for the Sound Tigers down the stretch. Since February 1st, he's boasting a .933 save percentage and has given his team a chance to win 16 of his 17 starts. The only bad one was the 6-5 loss to Wilkes-Barre Scranton on April 16th. That is the only blemish really on Corey Schneider's record since February 1st. He has been the driving force behind why Bridgeport is, made the playoffs and has a chance in this series. So Corey Schneider is going to be the X factor and pretty much, I don't want to say single-handedly decide it, but he is going to be, his performance will put its thumb on the scale of this series.
Not to give too much away, but I think goaltenders are going to probably fill into that X factor role quite a bit. I mean, it's so important come the postseason.
It is. It is, in fact, goaltending, and especially, winning the goaltending battle, having a hot goaltender. We're going to talk about some teams coming up here. They don't need great goaltending to win, but they still need some level of bare competency here.
Exactly.
But Bridgeport is going to need Schneider to be the best goaltender in this series if they want to have a chance.
Per usual. Picking time. Exactly. I guess I'll go first. Yeah. I'm a little out of practice. It's been a couple weeks, like I confessed at the top of the episode, but I know we're not supposed to give the amount of games, but I think this is going to go 3. And I think Providence is going to take it. I think the home team's going to take each game. And I think, the P Bruins are going to eke it out.
I can see an upset here, but I'm still going Bruins. I think the biggest deciding factor for me is not Corey Schneider, but that I think Ryan Muginel is the best head coach in the series. And I have lambasted Brett Thompson many a time. The regular listeners to our podcast know that I think he's the worst coach in the AHL. But I'm as much as I think these teams are a lot closer matched than others may think, I think best coach is what decides it for me. I'm taking Providence here, but I do agree. I think this is going to be a 3-game series. The model also, I was surprised. I thought the model would be a much heavier favorite on Providence, and it's not. Providence is a 51.6% favorite in the series, according to the model.
And how many simulations was that, Sean?
10,000.
Oh, wow.
So
Sean's got it dialed in. Like he's got that file dialed in.
Now that we're out of the regular season and there are fewer games in this round to sim, I initially wanted to do a simulation of the entire playoffs. So basically 10,000 sims or 5,000 sims of the entire bracket. But that turned out to be an absolute nightmare because it basically, like my computer does not have the output power to do that because there are so many different, there are, hundreds of Calder Cup finals because there's 23 teams. Any 2 of them from the East and Western conferences can play each other. So that's just an insane number of matchups at the end to sim. And no, I don't have the power for that. But 10,000 sims, Providence, a tiny favorite in the series, despite, what you would have thought be a more sizable lead.
With that in mind, let's move on to the next series to get 10,000 sims dedicated to it. And we're staying at only 2 opening series there in the Atlantic Division. And we're going with Wilkes-Barre Scranton, number 4 seed versus the number 5 seed, the Bears, the Hershey Bears.
Game 1 is at Wilkes-Barre Scranton, Friday, May 6th, 7:05 p.m. Got to sneak that extra 5 minutes in there for reasons unknown. I really do. If we ever get one of the AHL, bigwigs to come on the show, which will never happen, but if it ever does, that is my first question. Why 7:05? Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. It's been a long day.
That's okay.
Game 2 is at the Giant Center in Hershey, Sunday, May 8th, a 5 p.m. start for a Sunday game there. And Game 3, if necessary, will be back in Wilkes-Barre Scranton at Monday, May 9th. It's 7:05 p.m. So not an ideal start time for that Game 3, but, you do what you can. The season series, Hershey pretty much dominated. They won 8-4 in the 12 games. They won 8 of the 12, going 8-4. Wilkes-Barre Scranton got here. Cece, tell me about them.
Yes. Yeah. We'll start with a little capsule here. Season record for the Baby Pens, 35-41, 0.513 points percentage. Last 10 games, 4-6. Net power play percentage was 11.3%. Good, quote unquote, for 30th in the AHL. That is the lowest power play percentage in the Calder Cup playoffs, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Net penalty kill, 82.4%. And the ranked is 20th. That's about the bottom third in the AHL, 20th out of 31 teams this year. For the Baby Pens to emerge victorious from this first round series, Tommy Jack Napier outplayed Phoenix Copley and or Zach Fucale. He has to outplay Phoenix Copley or Zach Fucale. Tristan Yarry's broken foot forced Pittsburgh to call up Louis Domingue on an emergency basis. So that left Wilkes-Barre Scranton with Tommy Napier and Alex Dorio as their playoff goaltenders for likely the entire first round. And as you probably would guess, that's not great. No,
Not great, Bob.
not great, Bob. But goaltending is voodoo, as we often say here in the Calder Farmstead. And in the best of 3 series, can Tommy Napier get white hot and steal 2 games? Yep, he can. He can. It's a possibility. And if the Baby Pens are to win here, it's hard to imagine he isn't one of the big reasons why. Second reason, P.O. Joseph does more good than harm. Now, Joseph is a defenseman with the vision, the hockey IQ, and the puck skills to make plays that others just can't. And that means taking risks with the puck that others won't. So on average, when Joseph takes these risks, good outcomes usually happen and bad outcomes occasionally happen. You know, high risk, high reward. That's kind of what happens sometimes. The problem is that a fair portion of the time when it doesn't work out, it's very predictable that it wasn't going to, or there was no sense in taking the risk. Like trying to make a breakout saucer pass across the slot in your defensive zone with a 1-goal lead. Anyway, when P.O. Joseph is making those plays successfully, he looks like he belongs in Pittsburgh. But that risk tolerance with his play can lead directly to goals against. And in a best of 3 do or die series, that can absolutely sink you. Not recommended. If the Penguins win, P.O. Joseph managing the puck better will be a factor. Third thing, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins staff overcame a huge disadvantage in staffing and scheduling. Hershey and their coaching staff will have been off for almost 2 weeks by the time Game 1 rolls around. They've known that Wilkes-Barre Scranton was their playoff opponent the entire time and have been able to focus solely on them for a week. I know Emily Angelnatsky, she's been putting in the work in the video room and just, compiling all of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton, say that 10 times fast, Penguins footage that she can. Wilkes-Barre Scranton finished its season on Saturday, meaning it's had 6 days between the end of their regular season and Game 1. Now, that's still a lot of time, but Wilkes-Barre Scranton doesn't have a full coaching staff. We mentioned that, I think, on our last episode or 2 ago. As far as we know, every AHL team has a head coach, 2 assistant coaches, a video coach, and a goalie coach. That's a staff of 5 at minimum to go over film, create game plans and practice plans, develop strategy, so on and so forth. Even with 5 people, it's still an intense and demanding workload. The only AHL team that I'm aware of that doesn't have a full 5-person staff is Bakersfield because, Woodcroft and Manson took interim jobs with Edmonton mid-season. Wilkes-Barre Scranton started the season with only 3 of those 5 positions filled. Head coach J.D. Forrest, assistant coach Kevin Porter, and video coach C.J. Dialamonte. Say that 10 times fast. Yeah, I'm getting in the words today for sure. C.J. Dialamonte. So a workload that's heavy for a 5-person staff is being managed currently by 3 people in Wilkes-Barre Scranton. And Hershey had a week longer, a whole other week on top of that to prepare, and they have a full staff. Wilkes-Barre Scranton's got their work cut out for them if they really want to get a leg up. I mean, all you have is that video coach and your assistant coach and your head coach. What else is there more to say?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons, too, you've seen a lot of special team struggles from them is because usually special teams are designated, you have 2 assistant coaches, one runs the forwards and the power play, the other runs the defense and the penalty kill. Sometimes you have forwards and penalty kill and defense and power play, but usually that's kind of how it falls. But each assistant coach runs one of those. Right. And because there's now only one assistant coach, that's another thing where it's like you normally have more hands to handle that work. And because you don't, I think that's probably a good reason why their, special teams have been bad this year in Wilkes-Barre Scranton. But enough about them. Let's talk about the Hershey Bears. How they got here. Season record 34-42 for a .513 points percentage or 51.3% points percentage. Last 10 games, 3-7. Not great, Bob. Net power play was 14%. That was 26th in the AHL. Net penalty kill was 85.3%, 9th in the AHL. That's at least a bright spot for the Bears. If the Bears win here, it's going to be because the offense finally found its groove. The defense and goaltending have mostly been solid for Hershey, but as we pointed out many times when talking about Hershey, they've gotten rotten injury and call-up luck this season. Axel Janssen-Falby, Mike Scarbosa, Pilon, Vecchione, Snively, Molson, and Pinho. That's the Bears' 7 best forwards to start the season. They've combined to miss 253 games. That's roughly 54% of the season they've missed collectively. That's a lot. Shockingly, the offense has struggled in their collective absences. And I know Bears fans are tired of hearing the injury and call-up excuses, but Molson and Pinho are still hurt, and Axel Janssen-Falby is not coming back. And guys like Marcus Vila and Drake Grimshaw haven't magically learned how to be 50-point guys in the AHL in their absence. All that being said, given that Scarbosa, Pilon, and Vecchione had almost 2 weeks off to rest, recuperate, focus on a single opponent, Wilkes-Barre Scranton, I think that bodes well for Hershey and the chances that their offense finds its groove. But I think goaltending is worth mentioning here. Fucale and what looks like now just going to be Phoenix Copley, as Fucale got called up to DC earlier today, and I imagine he's their third black ace goalie, which I don't understand why teams do that, but sure, whatever. Anyway, I don't think, that they need them to be great. But Copley and Fucale, if he does come back, have both had their moments this season. Fucale posted 3 straight shutouts. Copley had 6 consecutive games where he posted a save percentage of 920, north of 920. But both of them have, had their down moments too. They both had 6 games this season below an 850 save percentage. That's not getting it done. For Copley, what makes it worse is 2 of them were his last 2 starts of the season. I don't think the Bears need great goaltending to win the series here, but they need competent goaltending at the very minimum. And while I think Copley will give that to them, there is the chance that he, doesn't do well. And I think the Bears need him to at least be a reasonably competent starter in the playoffs if they're going to win. CC, what is our X factor for this series?
X factor. All right. So on April 27th, the Washington Capitals reassigned forward Joe Snively to Hershey for a long-term injured reserve conditioning loan. Now, per Article 13.9 of the NHLCBA, Snively is eligible to play 3 games, but the Capitals are able to extend this to 5 games with a written one-time extension appeal to the NHL Commissioner's Office. Regardless, Snively is going to play in this series and almost certainly will play in all the games in this series. If he's 100% healthy, he's unquestionably the best player in the series and can erase Hershey's offensive woes. Now, there is a catch. He is coming off of wrist surgery, and shooting does, require some good wrists. Now, if his wrist is 100% good to go, this is just about getting him in the game and level cardio condition, then I expect we're going to see fireworks, And if it's not, then maybe he's still working through some stuff with his wrist, we could be underwhelmed here. We saw it earlier this season when Bowen Byram was sent down to the Colorado Eagles, couple games against the Ontario Reign. We expected fireworks, and we got a single bottle rocket instead. He didn't make a real big impact on the ice, but hey, he was up with the Avalanche playing and holding his own in the NHL. So he just kind of had to get on the ice and work out the kinks and whatever. So that's what makes Snively, back to him, that's what makes him the X factor in my mind. He has the ability to tip the scales, but the $64,000 question, Sean, is, does he tip those scales?
Yeah, and that is why he is the X factor. Let's get into picks, CC. Who are you taking?
All right. Well, sometimes a single reinforcement can bolster the team. And I think that's definitely going to be the case here with the Hershey Bears. I think having a familiar face back to even on a long-term injury reserve conditioning stint, I think that's going to make the difference. I'm going to go with Hershey.
I mean, for me, it's pretty simple. Best skater in the series is Joe Snively. That's Hershey. Best goaltender in the series is still Phoenix Copley. That's Hershey. Plus, Hershey has a bigger staff with more time to prepare, more rest, all of the good things. Yeah, I'm going Bears here.
All right.
The model also is on Hershey's side. 53.1% favorite are the Hershey Bears in this series. Mostly powered. The difference there is Joe Snively. So we'll see what happens come the next round when it's unlikely that he's going to be able to play any of the games, or definitely won't be able to finish the series. As far as I could find out in my research, the like one-time commissioner's exception is pretty commonly granted if requested. But then we get back to the question of, does Washington request it? No idea. Every time I feel like we've been tried to like take guesses at player personnel transaction movement things, we've done terribly at it. Like picking games, we're pretty decent. Picking like roster movement, we're terrible. We are atrocious at that. So I'm not even going to venture a guess. But yeah. Let's move on. CC, we have another Eastern Division series here, Eastern Conference series here, and then we'll go to break. So tee us up here.
Yeah, and it's the last one because there's only one opening round playoff series in the North Division, and it's the number 4 seed Belleville Senators against the, hey, look at us, we made the playoffs, Rochester Americans with the number 5 seed. Rochester, well, I take that back. Rochester did take care of business and win that game against Utica.
That's...
I mean, you had to win that game. I mean, come on.
Like, it was a game in which Utica had nothing to play for, and very likely it was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. We're here. And Rochester literally had everything.
Manitoba didn't have anything to play for, and they boat raced Abbotsford 6-0.
No,
I don't know.
That's fair.
But hey, the Amherst, the Amherst, Toronto completely fell apart at the end there. They choked. Reggie Miller,
I mean, you really have to give credit. The Maple Leafs are known for choking in the first round, but the Marlies, they're innovating at the AHL level and choking so they don't even get there.
Your 2018 Calder Cup champions not even making the postseason this year. Yep. Feels like a lifetime ago, but I digress. Let's talk about the B-Sens and the Amherst. Game 1, Belleville at Rochester, Wednesday, May 4th, 7:05 p.m. Gotta love those extra 5 minutes, Shawnee. Game 2, Rochester at Belleville, Friday, May 6th, 7 p.m. And game number 3, if necessary, Rochester at Belleville again, Sunday, May 8th at 3 p.m. Your series deciding matinee, if need be. And the regular season series, Belleville with the slight edge, winning 5 games out of 8 played. So Belleville with the 5-3 record against Rochester this year. And we're going to start with the B-Sens because they are the higher seed. Sean, take it away. What are they going to have to do to emerge victorious out of round 1?
First, we got to talk how Belleville got here.
Good point.
Finished the season 40-32 for a .583 points percentage. Last 10 games, they came into the playoffs hungry. They were 7-10 in their last 10 games. 7-3. I do the maths real good. 7-3 in their last 10 game. Net power play 16%. That was good for 18th in the AHL. Net penalty kill rank 85.8%. That was good for 8th in the AHL. If Belleville wins, it's because they shut down the neutral zone. We've seen these matchups during the season that when Belleville was able to win, they would do a good job of forechecking and either force turnovers in the neutral zone or first force Rochester to play dump and chase, something that they are really not very good at. The other thing that Belleville will do, if Belleville wins, they need to keep the Amherst top 6 in check. Rochester has good scoring depth. Don't get me wrong. Weisbach scored 16 this season. Murray had 15. Brandon Biro even put in 11. But let's not mince words here. Their top 6 is what drives the bus, especially now that Peyton Krebs is back. If Belleville wins this series, it's going to be because they kept, Krebs, Quinn, Paterka, Mersch, Malone, and whoever the, 6th guy is that kind of rounds out the top 6. It shifts a bunch. So they're going to need to, Belleville, if they win the series, are going to be needing to keep those guys to a minimal impact on the score sheet. Because if they let them run wild, that's not going to go well for them.
Nope.
That is the Belleville side here. CC, talk to me about Rochester.
All right. How did the Amherst get here? Season record 37-39, 37-39, .553 points percentage. Last 10 games, 5-5. Net power play is 18.4%. That's still top 5. That's good for 5th in the AHL. Net penalty kill, 81.4%, 24th in the AHL. Not so good on the PK side of things. How is Rochester going to win this series? If they win, the back end did its job. The defense has been a nightmare for the Amherst for most of the season. They haven't defended well in their own zone, and goaltending numbers have suffered for it. Their defensive environment is rated as the third worst in the league, hence why you go out and pick up a Mark Alt from San Jose at the AHL trade deadline. If the Amerks win this series, it's because they were able to get their defense in order and keep fast passes from going into the slot and across Royal Road, as well as winning battles and races for rebounds and making sure that guys aren't wide open behind you. Second thing, if they win, is it's going to be because they avoided taking penalties. Rochester is 10th in the AHL at giving up power plays, which is good. Their PK, though, is terrible. And while Belleville's power play isn't great, it's certainly capable of getting hot. And with Michael Del Zotto back for Belleville, clearing waivers from Ottawa, this isn't the time to take a dumb penalty for cross-checking some guy away from the play. If Rochester wins this series, discipline is going to be the reason why. You can't take stupid penalties. I know that's a general consensus thing across hockey, but Rochester is really going to have to mind its P's and Q's on the ice this series. Sean, what is the X factor, my good man?
Surprisingly not Michael Del Zotto, although I'm sure Lisa Ann would say he's the triple X factor, but Philip Gustafson is our X factor. He's pretty clearly going to be the goalie the Senators ride for the playoffs here. And while he's been good this year, he's had his ups and downs like any goalie. But I think every Rochester fan who watched the Belleville-Toronto game has seen that he's capable of stealing games because he stole that game for them. Toronto, choked as they did. They at least tried real hard in choking, which makes it better, I guess. I don't know. But he's had some unbelievable performances this year. And if I had to pick one goalie who maybe you don't think of as a top AHL goalie that would rise and carry his team to the playoffs, I think the son of Gus here is a solid choice. That's why he's the X factor. I could very much see him being the one that puts his thumb on the scale and kind of decides, the series one way or the other.
Okay.
All right, CC, it's picking time.
It's picking time. Forget the thing and clobbering time. It's picking time. I'm going to say this in one word and keep it brief. Belleville.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a wild series. I would be shocked if this is a sweep. I think this goes 3 games. But I think Del Zotto is a big send down. If you don't have Michael Del Zotto coming to Belleville, I think this is pretty easily a Rochester series. But they got good reinforcements and they came into the playoffs front door into the playoffs. I think that matters. I'm taking Belleville here. I'm going B-Sens. And all 3 of us are on the same side here. The third person being not a person at all. It is the model. The model believes Belleville to be a 52.8% favorite in the series after 10,000 simulations. So all of us on the same side. Congratulations, Rochester, on your win.
Yep. That's how it normally goes. So cheers, Amerks.
All right. We are going to take a break here. After the break, we will get to Rockford versus Texas, as well as the rest of the West. If you're just here for the Atlantic and or North Division matchups here, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, check us out on social media. We have fun there. Links to our social media, all of the places you can see and or listen to us can be found on our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. We're going to pay some bills, run some ads. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
All right. We have covered the Eastern Conference and their 3 matchups heading into the first round of the 2022 Calder Cup Playoffs. Sean, just like the North Division, the Central Division also has just 1 matchup in round number 1. So take it away. Who do we got?
The number 4 Rockford Ice Hogs against the number 5 Texas Stars. Game 1 in Rockford, Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. Obviously, 7 p.m. start. Game 2, also in Rockford, Friday, May 6th, 7 p.m. start. Game 3, also in Rockford. Apparently, Texas didn't want a home game, which is, I don't have any words for how you don't get Texas a home game here, but here we are. Game 3 in Rockford, Saturday, May 7th at 6 p.m. start, if necessary. Apparently, Texas is going to be designated as the home team in Rockford for Game 2, but I mean that gives them first line change and a couple other small things, but at the same point, dumb.
Yeah, and the season series, dead even, 4-4.
4-4 split, which is not what I was expecting when we looked that up.
No.
Yeah. All right,
Me
CC,
neither.
tell me about Rockford. How did they get here? What do they need to do? What happens if they win?
Well, before I tell you about Rockford, I actually heard from somebody that was interested in buying season tickets next year that the Texas Stars actually advertised a home playoff game as kind of like icing on top for that. So
I did see that. Like
yeah.
if you renewed season tickets early, you got free playoff tickets, and it's like
Yes. So what about that? What about that, Texas?
Yeah,
I
and
don't.
there's, if I remember right, because I looked this up earlier, there aren't conflicting dates at the HEB Center. They could have played these games in a game in Texas. Like, I understand travel, but like,
Right.
you could have played game 1 in Texas and then sent the other 2 games to Rockford. So even if you had to travel, you only had to travel once.
That's what Rochester and Belleville are doing. The first game's in Rochester. The next 2 games are in Belleville. I'm guessing customs and everything probably has something to do with that, but I digress. Let's talk about the Ice Piggies, shall we? How did they get here? Season record 37 to 35, 37 and 35, 0.549% points percentage. There we go. 0.549 points percentage. Last 10 games, dead split 5-5. Net power play 15.4%, 21st in the AHL. Net penalty kill 85.1%. Right on the cusp of a top 10, 11th in the AHL in that ranking. So if they win, if Rockford wins, they managed to subdue the Stars power play that has been hot recently. They are 4 for their last 10 power play attempts and are clearly feeling it on the man advantage now. The IceHogs PK has also been a bit leaky lately. 60% on their last 10 PKs, despite being solid on the season as a whole. Again, 11th in the AHL, not too shabby. If the IceHogs win, though, the PK is going to be a part of the solution and not part of the precipitate. Little science joke there. Anyway, Arvid Soderblom. If Rockford wins, Arvid Soderblom and Lucas Reichel are the IceHogs' best players. I cannot imagine a series win for the IceHogs where Reichel is kept off the score sheet and Soderblom is just merely above average in net. The IceHogs have been a team all season that's gone exactly as far as the 2 of them can take them. They will need their best players to once again be their best 2 players. They're going to have to lead the way, and especially Soderblom, a award nominee for the Calder Farmstead coming up. A little foreshadowing there. But yeah, those are your 2 best players, and that's what happens comes postseason. Your best players need to be your best players. Enough about Rockford there. Sean, let's pivot over to Texas. The Lone Star team, how did they get here?
Season record 32 and 40 for a 0.528 points percentage. Last 10 games also dead even at 5-5. Net power play 18.1%. That's good for 6th in the AHL. Net penalty kill is 84.2%, good for 14th in the AHL. If the Texas Stars win, it's because they controlled the pace. Quite simply, Texas wants to go real fast. They want to play north-south hockey. They're at their best when they have quick puck movement and are attacking off the rush with Anthony Lewis, Riley Damiani, Ty Dellandrea. That's their game. If Texas wins, it's going to be because they beat the IceHogs forecheck and flew through the neutral zone, generated odd man rushes, got good breaks on breakouts. Second thing, if they win, it's because they won the physical battle. Both teams are capable of playing physical here, and neither really has a clear advantage in terms of who the heavier team is by size or physicality or toughness. However, I think Texas winning the physical battle adds more to their chances than it does if Rockford wins, especially if it comes from their top guys. Lewis and Dellandrea aren't big guys, but those are their top 2 scorers. But you don't have to be big to throw your weight around and make good hits. Joe Hicketts has been doing it his whole career, and he's my size. There's a morale effect, though, on your team if they see your offensive leaders who are, not giants that are on the smaller side of hockey players laying big hits, though. Lewis and Dellandrea seem to be more willing to be those guys than Reichel and McLaughlin, in my mind. And I think that's why it matters more for Texas to win the physical battle. CC, there's an X factor to this series. What is it?
That is correct. You're dealing with the X factor. Matt Murray. And we're not, we're talking about the Texas Stars, Matt Murray, because as we all know, the jokes were flying on April 5th when Texas signed UMass prospect Matt Murray, or Dallas did, to an entry-level contract, Texas to an ATO. Matt Murray, a common joke with the tagline of "No, not that one in Ottawa." But in his play during the final month of the 2021-22 season, the jokes have turned to raised eyebrows, as in raised eyebrows of surprise and, oh, look at this kid play. In 6 games played with the Stars, Murray has posted a 5-1-0 record, 1.68 goals against average, and a .947 save percentage, including a 4-game win streak over Milwaukee, Iowa in 2 games, and Manitoba, all Central Division foes, as, of course, most of these games towards the end of the year are going to be interdivisional foes. But yeah, those 4 games to finish the regular season out and help Texas eke into the postseason. Got it taken care of. So now Adam Scheel, another netminder for the Texas organization, called up to Dallas on April 30th. So it looks as though Texas is going to be rolling with Matt Murray and Matt Jerusik. So double the Mats, double the fun for Texas and net in their opening round series. Will the Stars play as hard as they did in front of Murray as they did to finish out the season? The regular season series was a split right down the middle, like we talked about earlier. So if the rookie stays hot, he may very well be channeling his namesake. Sean, as a Penguins fan, is very familiar with the hotness of the first Matt Murray that came along. But yeah, very well maybe channeling his namesake to keep some of that playoff mojo going during his first chance to do so. And I think
it makes him a good X factor too, because 6 games played is not a sample size in which you can draw firm conclusions.
No.
Yeah, he's looked really good. And we talked about him when we previewed Iowa and Texas a while ago and said, he's physically gifted, but and when he's on, he's going to look like a god. But, we're still in the infancy of, is Matt Murray a quality professional, goaltender? We don't know the answer yet, but in the short term, he certainly has his chance to put his thumb on the scale here and continue, but he might not. X factor. All right, let's get to picks. CC, who are you taking?
I'm going to say Matt Murray keeps the mojo going. He's, like I said, he's going to channel that Matt Murray energy from years past. And I'm going to say Texas.
I'm taking Rockford here. I want to believe that Soderblom is the best goaltender in this series. I think Lucas Reichel is the best player in this series. Best goaltender, best player. That's the team I want to be on the side of. I'm taking Rockford here, but I think it is very close. I do not expect, Rockford to sweep with, 2-3-0 kind of games. I think these are going to be, 2-1 triple OT game 3 kind of series. I think this is going to be low scoring and brutish. The model is not on my side. It's on your side. It is taking Texas barely. Texas is a 50.4% favorite. So basically the model is this is about as close to dead even in a playoff series that is also taking sole place in Rockford. Another reason I'm on Rockford, home ice advantage matters. And if Texas loses the series, I think that is one of the things you can point to and be well, if one of these games was played in Tech, yeah. But so CC and the model are on Texas. I am on Rockford. Let's go over to the Best Coast.
Hey. Pacific Division. Last but not least. Let's do it.
Last but not least, but definitely not the only Pacific Division series. We got a bunch of these to cover here.
No, we got 3 to cover.
They're doing some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. All right. So first series up on the docket. Number 2, Ontario plays number 7, San Diego. Game 1 in Ontario, Wednesday, May 4th, 7 p.m. Game 2, also in Ontario, Thursday, May 5th, 7 p.m. Game 3, also in Ontario, Monday, May 9th, 7 p.m. Reasons. There are reasons, because the Pechanga Arena not booked for May's 4th or 5th. So whatever, here we go. Good job at series schedule, people. Season series, Ontario won 9 games out of the 12 that they played. But CC, tell me about Ontario. How did they get here? If they win, why will it be?
Yes, how did they get here? Season record, 41-27.669 points percentage. Very nice. Last 10 games, 5-5. Net power play, 26.3%. first by a fair margin in that regard. Net penalty kill, however, probably one of the biggest disparities I've seen in the AHL, 78.6%. That's 28 out of 31 teams. How can your power play be so good, but your PK be so bad? It's got to be a little better, you think. Anyway, if the Ontario Reign win, Matthew Villalta did enough in net. Villalta has continued to struggle this season, and he hasn't been good down the stretch either. .886 save percentage in his last 10 starts, and he's given his team a chance to win in only half of those 10 games. I saw one of those games. It was in. Actually, I don't even think he was in net in that game, to think of it. I think they put the rookie guy in. But anyways, I digress. Yet, Ontario's triumphed during the season in spite of that. And I'm shocked that they didn't try and make a move at the deadline. Something like what Chicago did, getting Panik reassigned to them from the New York Islanders organization. See if maybe someone like Toronto would have assigned Hutchinson so that Shalgren and Petruzzelli. Yeah.
Petruzzelli.
Yep. Petruzzelli. Yeah, okay. I missed a few vowels in there in my head. Shalgren and Petruzzelli wouldn't have to fight as much for playing time. That would be a good trade partner in Toronto or Hartford for Kincaid, so Wall and Huska could split starts. I am spitballing here, but I was surprised to see them stand pat with Villalta at the trade deadline. Regardless, he doesn't need to be the best goaltender in this series for the Reign to win. Villalta does, however, need to be competent, which is something he has struggled with at times. We're not asking for you to stand on your head like maybe some of the rookie netminders need to do in this opening round, but be adequate. The Ontario Reign can take care of the rest, I think.
On to the San Diego side of this. Their season record, 28-40, 4.463 points percentage. Their last 10 games, they went 1-9. Power play rank, net power play rank, net power play, 15.3%, 22nd in the AHL. Net penalty kill was 83.7, 16th in the AHL. If San Diego wins, it's because they cashed in on the power play like mad. It's hard for San Diego to find a way for San Diego to win this series here if they don't make hay on the power play, especially after getting screwed out of home games for reasons unknown. It is challenging to find W's here. But the Reign's PK has been hot garbage all season, and while the Gulls' power play is very not impressive, they're also getting some reinforcements that could help, whereas Ontario is not. And if the Gulls win, flat out, Lucas Dostal stole the series. Period. That's it. That's the analysis. Dostal has been reasonably good this season, despite a Gulls team that has played like hot garbage on defense in front of him. They are the 5th worst defensive environment in the AHL this season. And Dostal has still managed to, carry this team kicking and screaming, to a postseason berth. And he's certainly capable of, rising to the occasion and stealing them games. He's done so a few times this season. If the Gulls win this series, I don't think there's any way that Dostal wasn't a big reason for it, if not just strictly the reason for it. Cece, tell me about our X factor here.
Yes, the X factor, it's going to be Akil Thomas. He hasn't had the best season, for sure. He seems to be finding the groove a bit more recently, but Thomas has been a streaky scorer as a pro. In his 80-game AHL career, he's had multiple 6-game or longer scoring droughts. However, he's also got 6 multiple-point games, including 2 in his last 12 games. And when he's hot and everything is clicking, he can be a game changer. I still remember last season when he scored a hat trick in the last 4 minutes of the third period, then scored in the shootout to power an insane comeback win for the Reign over the Condors. Ontario doesn't need Thomas to score to win the series, but in a short best of 3, I think that's going to be a lot closer than other people do. I think we could see Akil Thomas rise to the occasion and steal the spotlight from guys like TJ Tynan and Jared Anderson-Dolan. Yeah, that's some pretty heavy praise for sure.
Let's do picks. Cece, who you got?
Well, I'm going to say Ontario in this one. I'm going to say if Villalta struggles, I think they might go with the rookie netminer. I think his name is Hronek.
Yep.
Hranek. and I'm spacing on his first name, but I was kind of impressed with his start against Colorado, even though the defense didn't really do him any favors. I'm going to say Ontario, they'll probably ride Villalta all the way, but don't be surprised if you see Hronek.
For me, I mean, this is literally the number 3 team in the AHL playing the number 28 team in the AHL. San Diego limped here. They went 1-9 in their last 10. Their special teams are unimpressive. Like, they're getting reinforcements, but not in, like, they're getting guys back that they had, a couple of weeks ago. This isn't, they're not getting Vinny Lettieri back. They're not getting Trevor Zegras or anything like that. God, if they had Zegras, what a series this would be. But like, I don't know how you pick San Diego to win here. And yet that is exactly what I am going to do.
I'm like, where is this going?
I am I am aware that I am like setting myself up to look real stupid here. I'm aware of that. And I can't shake that feeling that San Diego is going to do this. Like, everything is on the Reign side here. Everything. Special teams. Like, they have the better horses in this series in terms of skaters. But the one thing that I just keep coming back to is I trust Lucas Dostal mountains more than I trust Matthew Villalta or their other goalie, Hronek. I don't trust either of them at all. And I think this could be a coming out party for Lucas Dostal here. I think those reinforcements that come back can be useful to them. And I also think that San Diego is capable of being the heavier team, and in a close checking, what's a rule book or a penalty kind of playoff environment, I think that could tip the scales for them. I am taking San Diego to win this series, despite literally every piece of evidence going the other way here.
You just said it. They are the 28th ranked team in the AHL. There is like 4 teams ahead of them in the Eastern Conference that did better. That did better than that. That did not make the postseason. Wow.
I know.
And I just wore this hat because I hadn't worn it yet on the show, and the orange and everything. And yet here we are in one accord in attire, but I am not in one accord with that pick.
Yo, I know. And like I said, when, if they get swept, 6-0 and 5-2 in 2 games, we can come back and talk about how stupid of a choice this was. Or
we could clip this video and say Sean is a damn clairvoyant over here.
I think this could be a coming out party for Lucas Dostal to basically do what I thought he's been capable of the entire season, which is stand on his head and carry a team. I think he's capable of it. I think this is going to be a showcase. This is going to be a platform for him to do it.
Okay.
I think it's possible. I want to believe. I'm going San Diego.
What does the model have to say?
Oh, the model's not on my side at all. Are you kidding me? That makes this all the worse. Like I said, everything is on the other side for Ontario. The model has Ontario as a 55% favorite in the series. Not as big as you would have thought. I would have thought Ontario would be in the 60s for the series, but they're not. 55% favorite according to the model.
Josh Tall, yeah, he.
I'm telling you, I think that's going to be it. But
okay.
I'm willing to accept the shame when it's wrong. All right, we are going to take a break here so I can try and recover from what is almost assuredly going to go poorly for me, and we'll get to the rest of the Pacific Division first round. If you're just here for Ontario and San Diego, or Texas and Rockford, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, check us out on social media. We have fun there, and we'll be making fun of me when Ontario sweeps. Links to all of that, our social media, all the places you can listen to and watch us at are on our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. We're going to pay some bills, run some ads. We will be right back. Stay tuned.
All right, we've got a couple more of Pacific Division playoff series rather in the first round. And the first one is home market here. So decided it is taking place. Well, I won't spoil too much. This is Sean's portion. So Sean, take it away.
Number 3, Colorado at number 6, Henderson. Game 1 in Colorado, Wednesday, May 4th, 7:05 p.m. Game 2, also in Colorado, Friday, May 6th, 7:05 p.m. Game 3, also in Colorado, if necessary, Saturday, May 7th, 7:05 p.m. Didn't Henderson literally just build a brand new arena that, like, what are we doing? Why?
Yeah, I don't know if the indoor football team has some conflicting schedules, or if the Western Conference, which spoiler alert for the next series, every game in the Western Conference in the first round is played, all 3 games potentially, in the higher seeds building.
Why did we expand the playoff then if we were going to give these
I
like
don't
very
know.
extra teams a home game? Like, why?
What are we
What was
doing
the
here?
whole point?
I don't
get it.
know.
Anyway, season series. Henderson actually won the season series between the two of these. Winning 5 of 8. That was not what I was expecting, but
Oh yeah.
here we are. CC, you are the Colorado, reporter for Full Press Hockey. So it would be weird of me to take the Colorado side of this series. How did they get here? If they win, what happened?
Yes. Season record, how they got here, 39-29 record, .625 points percentage. Last 10 games, 7-3, winning 2 of those last 3 games played against Ontario to finish out the regular season. Power play, net power play, 16.2%, 17th, middle of the road in the AHL. Net penalty kill, 79.5%, 27th in the AHL. The ranking there, not very good. If they win, they got the power play clicking. Now, I know we've discussed this throughout the season about the Eagles, but when the power play is clicking, look out. But when it isn't, they can barely get the puck in the zone to begin to begin the cycle on the puck. I mean, it's mind-boggling. They're either super hot or super cold on the power play. But when your top unit consists of guys like Kiefer Sherwood, Dylan Secura, Jordan Gross, and Jason Megna, the strategy is pretty apparent, and it worked really well against Ontario on the road a number of weeks back. You post Megna right in front. You put him right in front of the net in that 1-3-1 setup on the power play, and you just let her rip because Megna can either screen the goalie really well or he can get a tip. He can get a deflection on net and score that way. So that's my that's my first point. Get the power play clicking if they win. Second, Miska starts and stays hot in net. The Avs have wanted to ride Justus Annunen this season, and that's fair. The Finnish rookie started 48 of 68 games. That's second in the AHL for games played. He went 24-13-6 with a 3.01 goals against average and a .893 save percentage. He was tied for 4th in wins, 3rd with almost 2,700 minutes played in net this year. Over to Miska. Miska started 10 out of the last 14 games to finish out the regular season for the Eagles. He went 7-2. He came in relief of Annunen in 1 game versus Stockton to start that 10 game in his last 14 game stretch, or in the last 14 games for the Eagles, rather. 2.49 goals against average and a .919 save percentage. It is a small sample size, but I see it, Sean. The Eagles play harder in front of Miska. It's just, that's my observation. Put him in the goal if you want to make it to the divisional semifinals. Third and last thing is a healthy decor, but also, relying on that forward depth and letting those depth forwards rest. After Justin Barron was traded to Montreal, one of the top D-men in the Eagles, or on the Eagles for the majority of the season, Colorado needed to shuffle things around on defense, and it didn't help that Keaton Middleton and Rob Hamilton were out sporadically either. Middleton played 7 of the last 18 games, and Hamilton played 8 of the last 18 games. And you bring in rookie Wyatt Amote. You bring him in on a ATO for the last 3 of the last 4 games. It helped rest Middleton for the last 3 games and Hamilton for 2 of the last 3. So you have options now. Your top 2 pairings are going to be Gross and Gilbert, McCune and McDonald. You have the luxury of putting either Hamilton or Amote with Andreas England. I think either of those 2 guys would complement England well on the third pairing, and you rest up Middleton more if you need to. I mean, you don't have to put him out there if you don't need to. They've got options. To the forward core real quick, Shane Bowers, Fontaine, I'm forgetting his last name, or his first name rather.
Gabriel.
Yes, Gabe Fontaine. Thank you. Just had a mind fart there, my brain fart. So Gabe Fontaine, Shane Bowers, and also Sampo Ranta. Those 3 guys haven't played pretty much at all down the stretch. So you've got some depth forwards if you need to, and they've been doing well without those guys. So if they get healthy, your depth is good. It's kind of been Colorado's calling card for the last few years since they came to the AHL, is they've had good depth, period, either forwards or defense. And yeah, as I'm ought to do with Colorado, I tend to ramble on too long. So let's go over to Henderson. Sean, take it away.
All right. Henderson, how they got here. 35-33 record on the season, .551 points percentage. Last 10 games, they went 8-2, hot down the stretch. Net power play, 15.9%. That is 20th in the league. Net penalty kill, 82.1%, 22nd in the league. If they win, it's going to be because they won the special teams battle. Neither side here is boasting solid numbers on special teams, but Henderson is fighting an uphill battle here as Colorado unquestionably has more horses. They have the more talented skaters up and down, the roster. So Henderson is going to need to cash in on the power play and keep the Eagles off the board on the penalty kill. And if they can do that, that will be one of the reasons they win this series. If they win, they didn't run out of puck luck. Does this sound familiar? Henderson is riding a PDO bender and currently sits at 110. Last season in the playoffs, if you want to call them that, Henderson ran out of puck luck as they were on a PDO bender for most of the mini season that they played last year. And then Bakersfield came, and suddenly all the puck luck just dried up. They need to not have that repeat again. And lastly, if they win, and this dovetails because this is our X factor for the series, Logan Thompson. As of this recording Sunday evening, and I'm literally on, Twitter right now looking for news, Logan Thompson has yet to be sent down from Henderson from Vegas, even though he's on an emergency recall. Like, this is not a CBA issue or anything like that. It just straight up is why is Logan Henderson not been reassigned yet thing. I'm assuming that he is going to be reassigned, but it does seem weird that they're hanging out, not doing it yet, but here we are. But if he plays, Logan Thompson is one of the best goaltenders in the AHL and looked very good in Vegas this year under NHL fire. But if he doesn't show up, Isaiah Seville, your Yuri Patera is probably going to, I'm assuming it's going to be Seville that takes the lion's share of the load here.
Sure. And
he's been really, really good recently, but at the same point, he has a tiny sample size. He's played 7 games, 6-0-1, 205 goals against average, a .929 save percentage. But again, 7 games does not give you a sample that I can feel confident saying, like, that's definitely a good goaltender. Like, I think he's good, but could he get lit up in this series? Yeah. Is he going to stand on his head? Yeah, we don't know. But if Logan Thompson is there, I know Logan Thompson. I not personally, but I know what I'm getting in Logan Thompson.
Right.
But like, that's going to be the X factor right now is who do the Silver Knights get to play in net and what do they do? If it's Logan Thompson, I think we know what we're getting. But if it's Isaiah Seville, probably good results, but we don't know who he is yet. He still needs a bigger resume for me to feel comfortable, and that's going to make him the X factor. All right, CC, let's get to picks.
Okay. I
think you are contractually obligated here to take Colorado, but who are you going with?
There's a little, addendum to the contract that I can pick against Colorado in certain occasions. So, but that's not going to be one of these occasions. I am going with the Eagles in this series. It's probably going to take all 3 games if I were to guess, but yeah, I'm going to say, with Seville facing Rockford, Stockton for 2 games, but it was towards the end of the year, and then San Jose 3 times in those 6 games played.
It's like I said,
yeah,
we don't know.
We don't know. So I'm going to go Colorado though. I mean, they've got the horses for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to. Like, I really want to pick Henderson here. I'm telling you, I want to pick Henderson because part of me just like, I see the struggles they've had on special teams. I see like Henderson is probably going to have at least the best goaltender on paper in this series. Like, I think Thompson is, if he plays, hands down the best goaltender in this series. And if Seville continues to do what he's done so far in this limited sample size, like I think he's easily better than Justus and Noonan. And I mean, I don't know how much I trust Hunter Miska. Like, he's been good, but like, is that a guy you steal the series on? But at the same point, I'm taking Colorado here because it's just I see the lineup there. Like, they have guys that are in the conversation for best defenseman in the AHL. They have guys who are in the conversation for best forward in the AHL. Multiple guys. Like, they're loaded up front. I just have to imagine that they find a way. Like, it's crazy for me to think that, like, you have one of the best forwards in the league, one of the best defensemen in the league on your roster, and you get bumped in the first round. Like, I don't know. I think they find a way. So I'm taking Colorado here. But the model has shown this is a very close series. Colorado is a 51.1% favorite in a series that is played entirely in Colorado. So this is going to be tight. I'm excited for it. I think it is going to be fun. I think it is going to be a fun series. But I think this one's going to be tight. I think it goes 3 games too. But
I'll be there. I'll be there for every game if I need to. But at least the first 2 for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's cross over and talk Bakersfield and Abbotsford. Cece, what's going on there?
Yeah, number 4 Bakersfield and number 5 Abbotsford. Abbotsford, when Colorado finished its season on April 23rd, was 3rd in the Pacific Division. Abbotsford drops 2 games to Manitoba. Bakersfield at least wins 1 game against Stockton. And Colorado leapfrogs them both for that 3rd spot. Bakersfield now has the 4 seed. Abbotsford has the 5th. What a difference a week can make. Game 1, Abbotsford at Bakersfield, Tuesday, May 3rd, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Game 2, Abbotsford at Bakersfield, Wednesday, May 4th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Game number 3 of necessary, you guessed it, Abbotsford at Bakersfield, Monday, May 9th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. They're nothing if not consistent, but yep, all games in Bakersfield right after Abbotsford put up posters in their home arena saying, we're hosting playoff games in the first round. Oof.
Oof.
Yeah.
Big oof.
Big oof. Season series, it's an even split like the Rockford and Texas one, 4-4. Both teams won 4 games against each other. So Bakersfield will start with the Condors. How did #CondorsTown get here, Sean?
All right, season record here, 37-31, 0.618 points percentage. Last 10 games, 7-3. Pretty good way to finish the season. Net power play, 16.3%. That is good for 15th in the league. Net penalty kill, 84.1%. Also 15th in the league. They are basically the net neutral, right in the middle of the chart on the special teams on the Tableau page. If Bakersfield wins, it's because they stayed out of the penalty box. The Canucks power play is very good and is about to get better with the reinforcements they got from Vancouver. Baker's penalty kill has been middling, and if I'm the Condors, I do not want any part of the murderer's row that is the Canucks power play squad. But if Bakersfield wins, it's going to be because they play heavy hockey here. They are by far the bigger and more physical team here. Case in point, Bakersfield is 2nd in average height in the AHL and 7th in average weight. Abbotsford is 22nd and 20th in those categories, respectively. Bakersfield wins. If Bakersfield wins this series, it's going to be because they played physical and they finished hits and they turned this series into a grinding, battle for control. That's how Bakersfield wins this series. Cece, tell me about the Abbotsford Canucks.
All right, let me tell you how they got here. Season record 39-29, 0.618 points percentage. Last 10 games, 8-2. And like I mentioned earlier, those 2 come from losing the last 2 games of the season against Manitoba. I think they were on like a 10, 11, 12 game win streak before that. So they just had a little hiccup at the end there, but not a big deal. Just cost them two spots in the standings is all, and some home playoff games, Anyway, power play.
Cost them home playoff games? It seems like, I don't know. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
You're good. Power play is 19.2%. That is a top 5 percentile right there. 4th in the AHL rankings. Net penalty kill, a little bit worse, but not too bad. 84.4%. Good for 13th in the AHL. If Abbotsford wins, it'll be because Spencer Martin outdueled Moonshine. Stuart Skinner. This is a series featuring two goaltenders that have been respectable this year. They've both had their moments as well as their flops. Neither are ones I'd be dying to start with my season on the line. I was impressed with Spencer Martin earning, in my opinion, a well-deserved one-way contract for next season. But their goalies I trust in an I'm Ron Burgundy sense. That being said, I don't think the Canucks need Martin to be a star, but they need him to be the best goalie in the series, if that makes sense. Second, the Abby Nucks are able to fly through the neutral zone. When things are going right in Abbotsford, it's often because they're able to attack in transition and move the puck quickly and effectively and get rush chances going. That's the hallmark of a lot of their best games. Sheldon Rempel, Sheldon Dries, 2 Sheldons for the price of 1. What a deal. I struggle to imagine the Canucks winning this series when they grind out 2-1 double OT wins, playing dump and chase and working the cycle down low. Not their style. If Abbotsford wins, it's because they were able to get north-south with the puck quickly and often. And Sean, the Canucks have a bit of an X factor, as we call it, and have called it all episode long.
The series X Factor, not just Abbotsford. This is the what do we think?
This is the series X Factor. Who is it going to be?
Vasily Podkolzin. Podkolzin had a pretty good season with Vancouver, but like most rookies, bounced all over the lineup, didn't play much on the power play. He also struggled a fair amount with aspects that most rookies in the NHL do, things like timing, awareness in the offensive zone. Those improved a bit as the season went on, but I don't want that to sound like I'm down on him. I will not mince words here. Podkolzin is very talented and plays a solid 200-foot game. There are some questions to be answered here, though. How does he handle going down to the AHL after spending the entire season in Vancouver? He's going to play with guys and under coaches he never has before. Didn't spend any time in the AHL this year, so he's going to have new line mates, new coaches, the whole thing. He's been a good NHLer, but that doesn't automatically mean he dominates the AHL. It's also the best of 3 against a good team that is going to be physical. So there's zero runway to get comfortable and so on. How he performs, I think, is what tips the scale one way or the other here. That is why he is our series X Factor. Personally, I think he does really well, but I can see 2 games happening where he kind of hasn't quite gelled with the team, or is not quite up to speed yet, and that hurts him. So,
speaking of not quite up to speed, the AHL.com doesn't have any transactions after April 26th for Abbotsford, but I've been hearing in the news that, Nick Patan, Sheldon Dries, Spencer Martin, Artur Silovs, Will Lockwood, and Vasily Podkolzin have all been assigned to Abbotsford. Well, Patan and
that
Dries
is the intel, that was from their official Twitters and stuff. So
their PR. So
I'm considering it as real. It's on cap friendly. That definitely means it's
100%. Yeah. I mean, multiple sources. I mean, cap friendly isn't the end all be all, but
no,
on there, probably true.
Yeah. All right, let's get to picks here. CC, who are you taking?
Oh, I cannot. I mean, yeah, they had a little hiccup at the end there, but I can't count out Abbotsford, especially with all the reinforcements that they're getting back. Abby Nucks.
I'm going Condorstown. I will take Bakersfield here.
Okay.
Yeah. Home ice advantage matters. If you told me Abbotsford played a game at home, I might think that would be enough to tip it for me. This is going to be a close series, I think. I think it's going to be field here. I think the heaviness matters, and I think that's what plays difference. And the home ice advantage here matters. Abbotsford is going to, if Abbotsford doesn't get out of this round, they should be screaming at whoever scheduled these games that they didn't get a home game, because I think that makes a difference. The model is on my side. Bakersfield, a 52% favorite in the series, which, is not a big favorite, but is one of the more sizable favorites in this playoff first round, which is surprising. I really thought we would see more, one-sided beatdowns here, but no, these matchups look
Lots
pretty
of close
even.
shaves.
Yeah. I think this is going to be another, but I think the heaviness matters. I'm taking Bakersfield. So is the model. CC, you are the one standing out on the outside for this. I think most of us, we've agreed most of the series, but anyway, I think that's all we got.
That is, we had to record this on Sunday night because playoffs start on Monday. So if you're watching this on Monday morning, usually it comes out Tuesday morning, but it's the postseason, so got to be flexible, right? So
yeah, we have to schedule our dates in a flexible manner. What a crazy concept.
Right? Not be all rigid. Record Monday night and Thursday night for the Tuesday and the Friday, but
well, Disney on Ice is actually scheduled to record here on Monday night.
Right.
So, that's
little scheduling joke for you minor league hockey folks. If you're a fan of AHL or ECHL hockey, you know damn good and well Disney on Ice wreaks havoc on playoff scheduling this year.
I want to say one thing here before we start the outro.
Sure, go for it.
Kevin Hart got bumped by the Los Angeles Kings to a different night for something he had scheduled. Why can the AHL or ECHL or whoever, why can they not do that? Why can't the arena bump, like Kevin Hart is not like a small act that fills, half the building. Like, is Disney on Ice really selling out the arena over a playoff game or something like that? That's my confusion. It's like, I understand if, you were expecting a playoff hockey game to sell like 5,000 tickets, but Disney on Ice fills the building. I struggle to imagine that's the case though. Like, does Disney on Ice really fill the seats anymore? I don't know. I don't think
for these smaller AHL arenas though, to have something like Disney on Ice come, like you got parents and you got their kids, and it's a draw. It is still a draw. And
that is surprising because I think of all of the like how far Disney and stuff for kids in terms of entertainment has come, and like I don't know that many people with kids, so like I shouldn't poll all 7 of them and see if Disney on Ice is something they would take their kid to, or that their kid would like be begging to go to Disney on Ice. Like, that's the part I struggle with. Like, our kids, who have Netflix and Xbox and all that stuff, are they still like, mommy, daddy, take me to see Mickey Mouse on skates in the cold?
I remember when I was a kid living in Colorado Springs, Sesame Street Live. I was stoked about Sesame Street Live, and apparently so were a lot of other kids in the Colorado Springs area, because that show was packed. It was I would say a decently sized auditorium, maybe 2,000, 2,500 seats, and it was packed to the gills. I mean, kids love that shit.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that kids wouldn't enjoy it. It's just more of I don't know. I think it's I've got to imagine that's like a fading entertainment choice among the youths these days. But
there's Moana, there's Frozen. Kids love Frozen still.
Oh, yeah. But like, I would think they would just want to watch, like, I don't know. I don't think the on ice aspect really moves the needle for them. Anyway, let's get to the outro. We're waxing poetic about Disney on Ice here for 4 minutes. Nobody cares.
Finishing strong with Disney on Ice, right here on the Calder Farmstead. But hey, that's it for the show, like Sean was alluding to. Thanks for watching and or listening. The Calder Farmstead is part of the Full Press Radio Network. You can listen to this and several other great hockey, sports, and pro wrestling / sports entertainment programs at www.fullpresscoverage.com. Right on the main page there, you just click on the podcast drop-down menu in the top right portion of the website. That is the grand list of podcasting programming populating there. It's a big one. It's a big list. Anyway, click on that, pick one, enjoy. We appreciate, with all that programming out there, both at Full Press and otherwise, that you chose the Calder Farmstead.
And if you guys are enjoying the Calder Farmstead, please make sure you subscribe so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon, please rate and review the podcast. And, click all the buttons. Make sure you hit the subscribe one as well. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video, comment what you thought of the episode. Leaving those reviews, subscribing helps others find the show, and your reviews help us improve it. You can also follow the show on social media at Calder Farmstead on Twitter, at the Calder Farmstead on Facebook and Instagram. Links to all of that and more can be found on our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. Big thanks to Adrian Drake, who made our theme music. You can find him on social media at AD_dysfunction. That's AD_DYSFUNCTION. So we can make music for you too. Cece, where can people find you?
Well, my name is CC Hockley. You can find me on Full Press Hockey. You can find me representing Full Press Hockey on Twitter, rather, at FPC_AHL. Lots of AHL news and notes coming out of that account. My personal Twitter account is at CCHawk, SEESEEHAWK. See what I did there? See what I did there. Mainly hockey tweets, but hey, I love classic rock, Rush, Genesis, you name it. pro wrestling, big pro wrestling fan. Hopefully if it keeps me interested, it's not going to be bullshit for you. Check out my writing on the Full Press Coverage Network at fullpresshockey.com. Sean, enough about me. Where can the people find you?
I'm Sean O'Brien. You can find me on Twitter at Sean O'Brien81. That's SeanObrien81. I'm also on Instagram at Sean O'Brien _81. My Instagram features the jersey of the day, as I wear hockey jerseys during hockey season pretty much every day to work because my boss does not care, and I mostly work from home. But even when I go into the office, I still wear jerseys. Anyway, you can find all of my stats work, including the playoff model, which is now up and running and online and took a lot of effort this morning as stuff wanted to be difficult. But that's all up and going. Everything else is there too. All the graphs you love and or hate or have never seen before, all on my Tableau page. You can find that at bit.ly/data dump and chase, all lowercase, all one word. Cece, take us home.
That will do it for episode number 98 of the Calder Farmstead, an AHL podcast. For Sean O'Brien, I'm CC Hockley. I feel like the gag in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where the knight just keeps on running up to the castle. We are that knight approaching episode number 100. By God, we're going to get there one of these days. But hey, for episode 98, it's in the books. So until next time, keep your stick on the ice.